but we're looking at critical issues, ethical, social, and political issues. And we're going to argue that when information systems are introduced in a society or in an organization, they raise some 5 moral dimensions. To set the tone for what we are going to be looking at, I want us to look at a case study. Are you ready? So that I can read it out for those who are at the back. Yes. If the other mic is there, I'll just use it. Yes. So this is a case study. I'll try and read it for those of you at the back. The case is presenting a particular individual called Akusua, a 28-year-old software developer from Kumasi who has created an app, and she calls the app Kasi Connect. And this app is a mobile app that uses AI to analyze users' mobile money transactions, their mobile money transaction histories, to offer them instant micro loans of 50 cedis to 100 cedis, to 500 cedis. The app has gained traction recently, and so as of now, the app has gained 50,000 users in just 3 months. And primarily, they are targeting market traders, they are targeting students, and they are targeting gig workers. When we say gig workers, we are looking for those who usually will get not in full-time employment, but they get one and off jobs online to do. Then they are unemployed again until they get another one. Now, the second part of the case is that there's a dilemma. And this dilemma unfolds this way. Akosia receives a call from another person, Mami Esi. And Mami Esi is a 45-year-old tomato seller from Tichima Market, who is in tears when she called Akosia. Mami Esi borrowed 200 cedis last month, but couldn't repay on time due to poor sales. So she borrowed 200 cedis last month, but couldn't repay on time due to poor sales. The app's automated system has sent her debt information to all her family contacts, especially all family contacts on her mobile phone. What the app has also automatically done is that it has blocked her from using the mobile app, the mobile money app. The app has also shared her data with other lending platforms like Branch, like Tala, and many other online lending platforms. And most importantly, the app has started charging her 5% daily interest on the 200 cedis she borrowed. So you can imagine what will happen after a week or after a month. Then there's a third part to the case. Meanwhile, there's a company called Data Watch Ghana. And what do they do? Data Watch is a privacy advocacy group. And they have discovered that Kasi Connect is selling user data to a Chinese marketing company or Chinese marketing companies. So whatever data they are able to get from users' adoption and use of Kasi Connect, they are selling their data off online. The Data Watch has also realized that they are accessing users' call logs and text messages. Yes. And we have also realized that they are storing data on servers outside Ghana, right? Yeah. Then the last one, they have also realized that they are using facial recognition to verify identities of people without their explicit consent. Now, this is our mission. You are as the Ethics Advisory Board, maybe the Ethics Advisory Board chair for Kasi Connect, and you have 20 minutes to identify the stakeholders and their concerns. You are also required to list the ethical violations you have observed here and propose immediate solutions Equia should implement. And then the last one, you design long-term ethical guidelines for the application. Now, I want us to do a little exercise. So we are going to divide the class into about 6 groups. So just 5 of you here, you will be group 1. And group 1, you represent the users, right? So just five of you. Another group will represent Ecosia, the developer. Remember, Ecosia developed the app. Then the other group will represent family members. Remember, they indicated that if she doesn't pay, they will send her. So family members, then regulatory bodies, another group. So one group here, group two. So I'll be asking you questions. So be sure to belong to a group. So this here, group one. This here, group two. Right? Group four. Let's see how many groups we can have. I want us to divide ourselves and have an interactive discussion. So we have six groups. How do we make it easy? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So the whole of this group one, right? The whole of this one, that's group one. Then half of this, group two. Then from here, are you listening? Then from here, 5, and then group 6, right? Yeah. Good. Hello. Hello. So very soon. So let's look at the fine details. This line, you are the users, right? Of KC what? Connect. You are the users. And we represent Mami and other groups. Remember, Mami is a one and not threatened and she Equasia. So you are representing Mami and other borrowers. The second group, you are representing Equasia, the developer, right? Then the third, you are the no. The third are the family members. Then group 4, bodies. And you guys represent Bank of Ghana, right? If there's a data protection commission, represent them and also represent NCA. Group 5, competing financial services like MTN. What's the name of their loan service? Yeah, okay. Then the last one, the technology partners. And you represent MTN. You are representing MTN not as a mobile money operator. You are representing them as a tech company. So MTN, Vodafone, okay. Then, so let's start. Just taking me in some way. Okay. Yeah, it's better. Okay. Yeah, thank you. So, we'll do 10 minutes. These are your questions. Please listen. Group 1, and other borrowers. Based on the nature of the case, what are your rights and concerns? You are borrowing money from an online app, and you have defaulted, and they are threatening or they are sending messages to all your family members of what you have done. What are your rights? Apart from that, one company has realized that KC Connect is even selling your data to a Chinese company. Right? You have also realized that even all the data, you and other borrowers, it's not even in Ghana, it's somewhere else. What do you think your rights are, this group? Be quick, please. What are your rights? What are your rights and concerns? If you were Mami, what would be your concern? Yes. Yes, how you share your consent. So let's say consent. Excellent. One last one. What is your right? Let me be specific, not a concern. What is your right as man AC? One concern, one right. You are not in that group. Then we move to the second group. Listen, it's as if it wants to hang me. So let's do it this way. Hello. Okay. So, yes, you want to help people, but you also want to make profit. You are ecosia. So you develop the app so that people can have access to credit. Not so, but you are not only doing that for people to have access to. You also want to make money. You are a business person. Now, how do you balance business needs and ethics? Second, okay. How do you balance your business? Your business is to make profit, right? Yeah. So how do you balance that with the fact that you are selling their data to a Chinese company? That's what this question means. How do you balance business needs with ethics? You are selling their data without their consent. How do you balance that? Yes. I think the one that we are selling the information without the consent. But there are two ways that the bank or whatever are set up. So let me you have in case analysis, you can make an assumption, but you cannot make an assumption which is in conflict with facts in the case. The fact in the case is that they are selling the data. So sell is not selling the data. Assumption, you can proceed with your case analysis. It doesn't mention. That is that, yes. Yes. We're giving a permission in the first place. If you are unable to follow. Okay, so he's saying that some conditions were clearly spelled out that if you violate the terms and conditions, how many of us have read the terms and conditions of apps we have installed and we are using on our mobile phones? So it comes to that. We'll come back to that. Then the last one, what pressures are you facing as a Ecosia? What pressure are you facing? What are some of the pressures that you may attract as a developer who wants to be ethical and also wants to make profit? What are the yes, pressure from since borrowers are not willing to pay. Borrowers are not willing to pay. Yes. Because there's access to finance and credit, people will jump onto it, but they may not have the ability to pay. So you may have some pressure there. The third group, family members. Yes, those are the back. You are relative to the money, and now you are getting what calls. How does this affect family relationship? How? The last group, the third group. So one, how does this affect your family relationship with Mami AC? And the second question is, what privacy expectations do you have as a family member? The first question, let me not answer your question for you. How does this affect family relationship? Yes. The- from third parties without the consent. Excellent, 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 excellent. Have you, if your mobile phone is missing or stolen, can you just go to MTN and ask them to track your phone? And if they do that, they will be breaching the data protection. Excellent. 5, competing financial services. You are the traditional banks, you are other financial technology companies, and you are SUSU groups. How does this affect the financial ecosystem? Assuming you were operating the SUSU group, or you have maybe Bonzale Rural Bank, some micro finance company, the use of this app by the population affect the financial ecosystem? The last group, yes. Yes. How does it affect the financial ecosystem? Financial institutions, excellent. What are fair competition concerns? What fair competition concerns would you have? What fair competition concerns would you have? You are a brick and mortar micro financial institution, but these guys are operating online. People have easy access to them, right? It's not fair. People can just pick up their mobile phone and have access to their finance. But in most cases, people have to pay to have access. Yes. Let's round this up, and then I'll ask my critical questions. The last one, 6. You are MTN, Vodafone, and maybe others. Cloud hosted services. Cloud hosted services. Remember, I identified that even the data is not stored in Ghana, it's stored somewhere else. It's hosted in the cloud. Remember, the app is also using AI to be able to understand people's transaction histories. Now, your question is, what responsibilities do you have as either MTN or Vodafone or other mobile money provider? What responsibilities do you have? Do you understand your question? You are one of these, right? You are supporting Pepsi Connect in a way to host the data outside of the country, in a way, because you are the ISP, the internet service provider. Are you getting it? Maybe they are also your MTN money service as a third-party app to be able to give the credit or access the transaction histories of people. Remember, it is using AI to access people's mobile money history. So, for instance, I think the first time I will not update history with Efficacy Connect, but they will be able to access my MTN transaction history, and they will say that credit will give it to me. Do you understand? Or they need to access Vodafone Cash transaction history, and then they will say that, oh, I'm credit worthy, and they will give you the credit. Now, as a telco, whose customers' data are accessed by Basic Connect through maybe some other app, what responsibilities do you have? What responsibilities do you have? Yes. Privacy of their customers is what? Protected. Yes. Privacy of their customers is protected. Okay. There are other questions, but I'm going to leave that. Give practical examples of real world connections with this. And as we were looking at the case, As we are looking at the case, some of you would have noticed that this case is very, very, very familiar. You have either known somebody or maybe you yourself, you have been affected by a scenario like this. So this case is actual existing cases in Ghana. These are apps and we offer similar loans to people in Ghana, right? But in recent times, we have heard of fintechs exposing customer data to third parties without the consent of the third parties. If you go to some farming communities today, who are able to access credit using some of this app, their level of credit is usually their ability to pay is usually very, very, very low. But they see the access to finance as an easy opportunity for them to get money to start their farming activities. In the end, they may not be able to pay, and it leads to over-indebtedness in farming communities. Then there's a significant cultural issue with Taxi Connect, their app. Cultural issues with debt, shame. And someone mentioned the fact that the family will be what? Will be embarrassed. Now, what is this case trying to teach us? 5 things. How technology decisions have real human consequences. So you are implementing technology, you are adopting technology in your organization, it will have an effect on people. In our previous lectures, we have indicated that any time technology is adopted, technology is being used, especially in organizational context, the focus is usually on 2 things. Either it is going to have an incremental effect. What we're doing, we'll now do it better, efficiency and whatnot. Ensuring that maybe things that were done using manual processes, we can now, but some of the processes can now be run in a similar way. Just one. Another option is that the technology can have a transformational impact. It will completely revolutionize what we have been doing. For instance, if I adopt technology and change my business model completely, a typical example would be I was having a corner shop, and now I want to sell online by adopting an online business model and an online revenue model. I'll completely, because of the nature of the technology I'm going to be using, I'll completely abandon the shop and move completely to online. The opposite is that you can use the technology and still have your physical space, and then you run it parallel. Now, the issue this case actually is the issue of ethics. And I want to ask you, what is ethics? What do we mean? Ethics. Ethics. What you are doing is not ethical. It's not acceptable. Okay, ethics usually has to do with the issues of what? Right and wrong. Now, let's take some time again to look at recent cases of ethical concerns. I'll just look at 2 and then we can move on. One recent case of ethical concern, fraudulent money transactions during this period, or even later. Now, fraudulent money transactions affecting rural populations. It's not only rural populations. Yes. More than half of this class may have received a message from someone purporting to be working with MTN. Yes, and that the money has been sent to you wrongly, so you should send it back. Yes, I usually use that period to relax. I will carry on with you. What should I do? Do this, and I'll be focusing and be laughing. The next activity to receive this raises an ethical issue. Give access to them to have control of our data to call us. Some of you belong to controller, and they keep sending you, yes, you should take a loan from here, take a loan from there. Meanwhile, you don't even, who gives your data to them? It raises an ethical issue. It raises an ethical issue. Another one, so the question is, the ethical question is, how much responsibility the company is there for protecting vulnerable users? Many of us believe that This process have access to our data because there are insiders in these companies who are breaching data protection and our privacy. Okay, enough of cases. Let me go a bit theoretical. When we say ethics, basically we are saying that we are looking at the issues of right and wrong, and that we are all free moral agents. We can make choices to guide our individual behaviors. Now, one practical example I want to use to explain ethics is this scenario. You find a wallet on the street containing $200 cash and an ID. No one is around to see what you are doing. Option A, this group, what will you do? Option A, this group, what will you do? Remember, this has nothing to do with technology, right? So don't just normal daily lives. What do you do? Option A, you keep the money, right? Okay. So there are a number of things you can actually do. There are a number of options. One is to keep the money. And if you keep the money, it is to your personal benefits. And because no one is looking, there are no immediate consequences. All right. Then that we are just on the founders, keepers mentality. Whatever you find is what is yours. Option B, you return the wallet because there's an ID in it. So you return the wallet and put someone in need. So the one in need is the one who has lost the item. You are acting with what? Integrity. And usually we see these quotes on people's status. Integrity is what we do when no one is what? Watching, right? So, and you are basically relying on the principle that do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And we call this particular principle in ethics the golden rule, right? We'll come to ethical principles very soon. Now, your choice is your moral principles and your values, regardless of what external rules and consequences, right? Okay, so there are issues that are raised by information systems when they are introduced in organizations. And when I say information systems, now we all understand what we mean when we say information systems. Not so. First lecture, we said information systems and technology, right? Data, people, procedures, and people, right? So when we introduce technology in an organization, remember, I didn't say when we introduce information system, and I keep using these two interchangeably, so pardon me. When I say technology, I just mean hardware and software. When technology is introduced in an organization, it raises a number of issues. Similarly, when all of this as an information system is introduced, it raises a number of issues. We use this interchangeably sometimes because it is just this that is being introduced. But sometimes this may come with recruitment of other people. Are you getting it? In that case, it becomes a whole information system. So let's look at it from both angles. When technology is introduced or information systems are introduced in an organization, we usually say that it raises quite a number of issues. It raises a number of issues. There will be intense social change. The way we relate, we interact will drastically change. It will threaten the existing distributions of power. I think the last lecture, I showed a diagram, an organizational diagram, and I emphasized that information systems they can have an impact of what? Flattening the organizational structure. You remember? Flattening them. So the existing distribution of power will be crushed. Even distribution of resources, we have access to what? It will also change, right? But when that happens, a number of things can happen. There will be opportunities for crime. Yeah? If your organization, everything your organization, business process in your organization was manual, and people were finding a way to get their kickbacks and bribery and whatnot. The moment we introduce technology, the idea would have been that maybe we want to curb all of this. But the moment the technology is introduced, it may also create a new opportunity for what? A new kind of what? Crime. They will devise ways to do around the technology. Okay? So new opportunities for crime, for example, is identity theft through massive data breaches. Yeah, one crime could just be that I can decide to, instead of stealing your mobile money data, sorry, your mobile money wallet, the company decides to sell off your data. That's a new kind of crime. Let me read. So we make an argument that, given the fact that when systems are introduced, it will change the way we interact, it will change the distribution of, it will change the way resources are distributed. We often say that the best way to explain what happens when technology or systems are introduced in an organization is to use the concept, this particular model called dropping a pebble in a pond. When you drop a pebble in a pond, what happens? When you drop a pebble in a pond, what happens? It creates, a ripple effect, waves. How do you stop the waves? How do you stop the waves? Yes? How do you stop this? So it's just like a cup of coffee. If you shake it, how do you instantly stop it? You can't stop it, right? Right? Experience. We see society or the business or the organization as a calm pond, and IT is seen as the rock. If we drop it, it will create ripples of new situations. As the new situations we indicated that one, there will be new opportunities for new kinds of crime and other things. So what will the organization do? What is happening, Mother? Yeah, they extended. To explain this, let's look at this practical example. Are you aware that these days, when you apply for some job, especially these international organizations, before you have even called for interview, AI will have done the shortlisting and screening and whatnot. Many of us may not be aware, but artificial intelligence is used a lot these days to do some of these things. Now, in such a situation, if AI is employed by an HR company to do the screening of potential employees, and they have not been using that before, we see the AI as what? The rock. And the pond would be the organization. Let's see some of the things that could happen. The companies using AI algorithms to screen job applications automatically. So they have a criteria. They will upload the CVs and just say that, look, if a CV doesn't meet this particular criteria, it should be rejected. You don't need a complex system to do that. Even ChatGPT, as a hiring department or entity, you can just upload CVs into ChatGPT and indicate your criteria. It will screen everything based on the criteria you have indicated. Now, what are the ripples? What are the new situations that are created? One new situation is that The AI shows bias against certain races, genders, or backgrounds, despite the fact that you have indicated that the CV should be screened based on 1, 2, 3, 4 criteria. The AI may show bias. AI may show bias because of what we refer to as algorithmic bias. And algorithmic bias basically refers to this. Someone developed the AI and he developed it with some mentality. Don't you think the mentality can creep into the development and the subsequent use by us? So a typical example is if you terrorists, of a very terrorists. You understand? If in the develop, so that's what we mean. Okay, then the candidates actually they are being evaluated by AI. It's not right. Right? You don't know, and the fact that you are not aware is also an ethical issue. Apart from that, they are likely to lose their jobs. If they don't lose their jobs, they will lose the power to decide who should be shortlisted or not, because we have now moved it onto the AI. But a lot of the ways AI or technology is used these days, we say there are legally great things that are not covered by our regulations. And I'll use the educational sector as an example. In years, I'm not sure we have a very good AI policy. We have a plagiarism policy. So if you copy too much, we will catch you. But we never envisage that will come. And then instead of copying, not copy, not copy, they can completely from scratch. So check your similarity in anybody's content. So similarity, what happens? You will pass. But the fact is that it is not your own. It is not yours. But we don't have this. So if you start doing an assignment and it is completely generated by AI, there is an ethical dilemma. Now, it is a legal gray area. Our regulations and guidelines policies, it doesn't cover the fact that we use AI, it will be this particular percentage. So a typical example is what is happening with us as lecturers. Usually we have a Turnitin application run by the library. So if you are submitting an assignment, I can decide to enroll of you so that we are copying from. But when generative AI started, ChatGPT and many others, students were copying, academics were copying. When I say copying, not from other people, but they were using AI generated content, submitting it as if it is what? DS. Now they will turn it in and it will say similarity, zero. It means you didn't copy anybody. Then you submit. So later, the developers of Turnitin also realize that there's a flaw in the system. Assignment accepted. Freedom to so that's at times there are which are now which will take time to be able to start. And that is the radical effects. Do you understand? So the good technology is system organization are going to be organization number, right? And so processes are going to change. Then you introduce it. And then we are still in the process. The technology is now handling everything. We have something to do. Legally, policy will have to be what? Revised. Because the technology would have created a ripple effect. Okay. Now, let's look at this diagram. I'll try to be fast about it. We want to look at the relationship between ethical, social, and political issues. To explain this easily, in the middle of the diagram, there is information technology and systems, because we want to take care of this and the whole of that, because we have been using it interchangeably. So our argument is that when it is introduced in an organization, is dropped in the pond, a number of things will happen. It will raise ethical issues. The technology or the system, it will raise serious ethical issues. It will raise social issues, and it will raise political issues. But it will do this at different levels. These issues will be raised, but it will be raised at the individual level. The way I was doing things personally will change. The way we're doing things in the organization will change. The way in the country we're doing things, it will what? It will change. So these are the issues, these are the levels of change. But it will raise a number of what we call moral dimensions. And remember, someone indicated that when we're talking about ethics, we are talking about the issue of what? Morality, norms. What we are doing, does it conform with what is happening in the society? So, information technology systems are introduced. There are ethical issues. The issues like right and wrong. It will also raise issues, social issues. It will raise political issues. When I say political issues, in organizations, organizational politics. I'll give you an example. Sometimes, when the technology is, when we use examples where, for the purpose of this class, it is for the purpose of this class alone, please. So we use UCM. And it raises a lot of ethical issues. UCM is what you register. It has a lot of ethical issues. All systems, not only that one. Ethical issues since when it was introduced, social issues, and what? Political issues. Right? I'll give you an example of an ethical issue. I upload results. I'm not saying the system does that, I'm giving an example. I upload results. You get A. And then someone, I've uploaded. Someone is supposed to verify before you see the results. Then you see the results. The person has not verified. Beating is right. So you do the lecturer uploads, the HOD has seen, the leader has seen, the student has seen. That's an ethical issue. How is that an ethical issue? Maybe check what balances. If those checks are not ensure that these checks and balances will ensure fairness. And the social but in this case, the thing also so there's an education there. If the system allows people to be individuals, there's an education. Then political issues and then what? Social issues. If it is looking at this individual, societal, and general body politic, we are saying that it raises 5 more dimensions. And we call them the moral dimensions of the information age. So we look at it one after the other. The first dimension is one, quality of life. When systems are introduced in an organization, don't you think it improves our quality of life? So let's look at it at the individual level. The fact that there is intense social change. Interactions are now improved. If you want to find out what's happening in your house right now, you pick your phone and you call somebody at the individual level. The organizational level, individuals are also able to use technology to ensure efficiency and many others. So quality of life, what we do, technology improves our quality of life. It's a moral dimension, which is good. But let's flip it. If we are talking about ethics, let's look at the negative side. How is technology impacting negatively on our quality of life? Yes, you can. You can.
Also, in the way takes away our real culture.
It erodes, yeah, it erodes our culture. I look at example of this class, how our kids can just ask us how are you. It was this class, right? When I um, yeah, social levels. Yeah. Just viral. I give you one type of life education. It's for me. First thing in the morning, I pick up my mobile phone. First thing, I just to check, I didn't miss this. But that is not right. Because some minutes before you get up, just have a look at the phone and problem. Attention to you pick up. The screen and your eyes are telling your brain that it's daylight. So it affects our vision as well and many other things. So quality of life is one critical moral dimension. Now let's look at property rights and obligations. So let me mention all of them. The first one is quality of life. The system we are using is quality, system quality. There is a multi-dimension issues. If I'm using a system is foolproof. So I'm using a system and should be held accountable. Raises a number of issues. Then, if issues should be held accountable. Now, we have the control of the entire system. And similarly, in the context of UBS, we have had that issue. Who owns the system? Is it the university or the developer? Right? Yeah, it can be the university, but there can be a cousin sometimes in organization between the developer and the what? The institution. Then information rights and obligations, the data you provide. You have willingly signed up to provide this data. Who owns it? Who has the right to share? It raises an issue. You just say, yes, accept, agree, and then you are online. What are they going to do with your data? You have no idea, right? Then property rights and obligations. And I keep asking, all of us, there are content in our devices, right? Did you pay for it? Did you pay for it? Maybe yes, some maybe no. Are we violating property rights? And whose obligation is it to enforce it? So let's look at them one after the other. The first one, what information do individuals and organizations possess with respect to themselves? If you visit a website and they are requesting for your bank, we are never telling until the websites are asking for details. That's why we say that details, but when you are using your hundreds of emails from companies selling products to you. And we are wondering, all these emails, where are they coming from? So we have the right, we have the right to protect our own data. But when we sign up and give it away, are we also just signing away the right to protecting our data? No, consent to some level. If you are using Facebook, the first time you were signing up, they would have asked you to read some terms and agree, right? Did you read it? Are you aware that they will have indicated that you use your data for third-party purposes, or they will share with third-party organizations? You said fine. So now, if there is a data breach at Facebook, who should be held responsible? Is it Facebook or you? Information rights. What can they protect and what can they divulge? Some organizations will be very specific when we are signing consent forms in terms of what they can divulge. The second one is property rights and obligations. How can traditional intellectual property rights be protected in a digital society? Someone has produced, a lecturer or a professor has lived and he has written a book, and the book is online for sale. Someone has found a way to download the book, or maybe a soft copy of the book, and has decided to what? To share with the colleagues. Intellectual property rights, how can it be protected in the digital age? The fact that you have got it doesn't mean you have the right to share. All these raises issues. Then the issue of accountability and control, who can and will be held accountable? Then system quality, I've mentioned that. The quality of life, I have mentioned that as well. Now, what do you think? I want to move on to something interesting. The issues about the moral dimensions are heightened because of some new trends or development in technology today. Right? The first one I want to look at is the first PC or mobile use can spawn as PC. So one is to save, it will not be able to save one single movie. We all agree that today computing power has drastically improved. Don't you think that computing power has drastically improved, it raises ethical issues? The fact that you can use a computer to do things within a very short space of time. What kind of ethical issues does it raise? The fact that the amount of data can be processed within a very short time. What issues of right and wrong does it raise in an organization? So in an organization, the issue of what? Efficiency, right? Large amounts of data can easily be processed, but what is the problem with that? Is there a problem? There must be a problem. that space. Most of them speak not been noticed. The state, people find something. Right. So you can sound as you know, by somebody. Who is this particular person sitting on what I said in my paper? Do you get that? And then when I think it's that. And I hope you pray to create something to you as an answer. By that time in that year, be able to do that. That doubling of computing power, right? Data storage. Data storage costs is rapidly declining, right? This is how one in click and then and put in my pocket. It's a lot of ethical issues. Apart from that, you can just buy storage facilities and store everything online. Everything you can store it online, and it is very, very cheap. Then to touch on this a little bit. Then networking advances. The fact that today you can easily communicate with others with current network easily. It's also very important. Our devices are easily connected to each other. All of this are coming to this interesting diagram, which we'll use to explain network advances, the advances in data analysis, and how unethical it can be in organizations and even globally. We call it non-obvious relationship awareness. Have you watched a film before when the security agencies are tracking a criminal and they are just waiting? And the moment the criminal uses an ATM card, they are able to tell who's here and they are rushing there, right? Or maybe access to CCTV coverage. And the moment the person passes a particular junction, they are able to tell that, or enters a particular shop, they are able to tell that this person is here and they will run there. It is because of this particular thing. No. Nora makes it easy. It makes it easy for organizations to combine data from several databases to be able to form a mental picture of people or of a person. So, for instance, you go to Melcom and you buy stuff, you are given a receipt, right? Your name, your name and some other demographics are stored in their database. If it is not enough, then we will tell you that we have a loyalty card. If they don't have enough, then say we have a loyalty card or a store card. Come and buy more. And when you buy more, we will reduce. So you buy more. As you buy more, they understand your transaction history and the sort of things you buy. So with time, they'll be able to tell that when you buy this, you also buy that, right? So how does that help them? When they know that you buy this, customers buy this, and alongside they buy this one, they are able to understand consumer behavior better. And when customers understand consumer behavior better, they are able to serve you better. So you enter a shop and you realize that suddenly the item you used to pick on the ground floor is now upstairs. Your first reaction will be, why are these people doing this? But when you don't understand product. So it's the change so that we start to eat and you know you know, and they buy sugar and other products. You know, to separate it. The computer will help you to do that very well. Incident and arrest systems. Incidents that happen. You have a police record, you have a traffic offense, all of this can also be analyzed in line with your shopping behavior. Customer transactions also related to, no, the list actually looks at criminals. Under watch. Someone has done something and they are watching to find out what he would do. Yes. Then, just like the issue of Ken Ufori Atta. Yes, they have issued a warrant, right? So if you visit any airport, the moment, but when they scan his passport, they are going to realize that he is on a red alert notice, he's on a watch list. Customer transactions, telephone records as well. So all of this, and employment data, all of this when organizations have access to this, they can do a dossier on you, and this dossier can tell you the kind of person you are. And based on this dossier, the profile we have of you, they can then send you alerts, and this alert will match exactly what you want. Or if they are sending it to third-party agencies, it will give the third-party agencies information about exactly where you are, exactly what you are doing. Okay? But there are a lot of ethical implications in terms of the use of what? Non-obvious relationship awareness. Some of the ethical issues are one, privacy. Anytime we think of a NORA issue, there is extensive data collection, and usually without what? Without your consent. Go to Melcom, they give you a card. You are happy that you will get 5% discount, but they are collecting data and sending it to where? India or somewhere else. Accuracy issues. It can also lead to false positives. When we say false positives, what do we mean? Someone is on a watch list, and his name is Ibrahim Usman, and I go to a bank or somewhere, or I'm traveling, and they scan my passport, and the system falsely accuses me of being the one they are looking for. And then, of course, this accuracy issue, it's an ethical issue, right? Surveillance states, in terms of government, are you aware that now that we are here this morning, it is possible that would have been captured by cameras in town, right? Last year we had one student in our NGM class who showed us his mobile and said, all that is in produce one of the cameras outside here at the junction, that he can access it on his mobile. He's a security guy. He can access it on his mobile to see what is happening live. What could this person do? Surveillance state. The government eventually monitoring what we are doing. Assuming in the whole countries where the extent, the advancement in terms of this surveillance is high, you can imagine the level of monitoring. Apart from that, there are data security issues. Assuming someone has a Melcom's database with all these customer data, what could they possibly do with it? Then the last one, which I mentioned before, discrimination, algorithmic bias and pattern recognition. The software, they did that, they have their own biases, and these biases can creep into the system. When it creeps into the system, the system will rely on some of these biases to process data. What we are going to do in this case is to highlight the fact that when information systems are introduced in an organization, it can create problems. Some of the problems with light ethical issues, very light ethical issues, but they will have deep ethical issues raised by the system. And the system is built with a task that every month, once it will be determined from each client and sent to an escrow account. This is that. Lighter issue, there's the data breach. Deeper issue, thievery. Yes, misappropriation of an element, and some of these things happen. But let's use information systems to what? To make some decisions from public scrutiny. So you think the system is perfect. It is only when an audit is conducted, an information systems audit is conducted, then you know that this process leads to this. So when it ends, it ends outside the entity. So issues very complex practices, and that is why we are paying attention to this. So you are a professional, you are a business manager or owner. Every single day you will be faced with issues of what? Ethical dilemmas. What should I do with this system, this technology? What should I do? Individually, we face ethical dilemmas. If your son reaches of age or has not reached some age, you are not comfortable to give a mobile phone to them, to him or her. Because ethical issues It will. So I tried that a long time ago. Because my son, and I locked it so that he would not be able to download any app without my consent. So protection is embedded tools. You can ensure that before the app will show what are on the child's phone, right? Because of your awareness of the ethical issues raised. So I did this. Then so I took really happy father, entered the book and I said, I know, and I gave it back to him. And then I did after that, and eating, and I approved. He sends an app by guessing the food. So the Android system, not the phone, the Android system got locked. So the phone is not locked, remember? So calls can be made only. You can't do anything. So I was like, what did you do? What did you do? So I said, oh, he didn't know when he did and all that. But I don't know that he was trying to do that. You have tried several times. So we left it until it was unlocked. And I realized that some app was, it was trying to access one app, right? I did that by my consent. The nature of this is watching, then you are in trouble. Because the position that device alone, one, we have looked at the issue of storage, how it faces issues. One thing I didn't mention is ethical issues. Or the to be careful because of these ethical issues that are raised at this individual. So, as business professional, it is important to make ethical in some capacity. So, let's look at how ethical analysis can be conducted by looking at some 5 steps. The first one is identifying and clearly describing the facts. Every time you are with an ethical issue, dilemma, you are not sure. Find out the facts. That's the first one. Identify the facts. The second one is define the conflict or the dilemma and identify the higher order values. Prioritize the issues. The third one, I'll come back to this. The third one is who is affected. Identify the stakeholders. These are the ethical dilemmas. This one, if I do this, who will be affected negatively? Who will benefit from it? Identify the stakeholders. Identify the options you can possibly or reasonably take, right? And then the last one, identify the potential consequences of your options, right? So let's look at some examples. Assuming a company discovers that employee data has been breached. Our staff data, it has been, someone has got access to everything. Our staff data, it has been breached. Right? The first thing you do, identify the facts. And this breach involves, it's a cybersecurity breach which exposed 10,000 employee records, including social security numbers, addresses, and salary information. Even the one you are in the same office with. I think it's a Ghanaian thing. Even the person you are in the same office with, if you ask him, so this month, what was the net? He doesn't want to tell you. Now someone has stolen everything, right? The breach occurred 2 weeks ago, but it was just discovered. The issue, there is a company employee data breach. The first thing we try to understand, identify and clearly describe the facts, and these are the facts. The legal requirement is to notify within 72 hours of discovery. The moment our attention is drawn to this, the media attention could damage company reputation and stock price. So the fact is, yes, there is a company breach, there is a data breach, but you announce it. You just keep quiet about it, because if you do that, it can lead to it will have other ramifications. So the second thing to do, we need to define the conflict or dilemma and identify the higher order value. So there's the conflict. There's legal compliance versus what? Business interests. We have to disclose it in 72 hours. But we're also scared that if we are not careful with the way we disclose it, people, for instance, if it's a bank, people just bank, definitely everybody will be in the bank trying to withdraw their money. So you will be very careful. So what will be your higher order values? Transparency. In as much as you want to protect your business interests, you also want to be transparent. Speak to your employees to gain their trust that you are dealing with the issue. Then legal integrity. You can find a way to communicate with the legal authorities without it being linked to the media. Then your shareholder value may be protected and the public will be safeguarded. The third one is identify who is affected, the stakeholders. These are the people who will be affected. Employees, customers will be affected. So employees are affected by the breach. Customers' trust in the company's security will fall. Shareholders' financial impact. If it becomes big news, the share value of the company will fall and it will affect their returns. Management, legal liability, and then the general public. Everybody would know that this company, in terms of data protection, they are zero. Then identify the options you can reasonably take. You can immediately disclose the breach and notify all parties, but emphasize that this is confidential. They should just keep it. Delay the disclosure whilst you are investigating further, so that you can minimize the scope of the breach. You could as well provide comprehensive support to the affected employees. And then the last but not the least, identify the potential consequences of your options. If you immediately disclose, you have to comply, right? Legal compliance, employee trust. But there will be what? You build employee trust, but the public will just say, what kind of company is that? Right. Delay disclosure. If you delay it, you will avoid immediate fallout, but you will face larger penalties and loss of what? Credibility. Then the last one, comprehensive response. High costs. I won't do a comprehensive one, will be expensive, but it will demonstrate the company's responsibility and may preserve long-term trust. If you follow this stepwise process, we should also be guided by a number of ethical principles. What we have seen, you do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It's one golden ethical principle in life. Even in our use of technology, we should all be guided by that. Then there's also another one. If an action is not right for everyone to take in an organization, then it is not right for anyone to take it. Because if everyone do that particular thing, what will be the implications for the organization? Then the slippery slope. We'll look at some examples of how this can be practicalized. If an action cannot be taken repeatedly, you are using the system for your own personal interests to siphon money. Can you continue doing that? No, then it's not ethical. Don't do it. Let's look at some practical examples. The first one, golden rule. The question is, where does my employee personal emails, employee communication, organizational communication? Would you want your employer tracking your email? Why? So that your privacy included others. So the moment to track everyone's email, we allow his email to be tracked. So when we go there, it's unethical to do that. Then the comes principle, the categorical imperative. What if every company monitored all employee communication? So you are saying that they shouldn't do that because the employers, we cannot monitor them as employees. So if it's that in the industry, they are monitoring everybody's data or emails. The question is, yes, in the industry, they can be doing that. But with the society function, if no communication was private, yeah, if every workplace communication brought in the public domain monitored, nothing will work again. And trust will completely be eroded. So the action cannot be taken because it will become unethical. So if you monitor emails, when are you to stop doing that? The moment you start it, you are on a slippery slope. You can't stop it. Are you going to wait for a year and stop? Maybe at the end of the year, the 101 employees will not have been moving any. I would say that we have reached a particular timeline, we should stop. Continue. And if you continue, what are you going to stop? You confidential data from some people's email. So the way that is affected, some are affected should stop. Because you say, you get something from this person as well. So if we start monitoring emails, where does it end? So it cannot end, and it's a slippery slope. In that case, the action will be unethical. Then there are other principles, and we use using copyrighted content, as I have indicated before. Downloading a music video, downloading a track, an audio track, and using it on your phone without the consent or without properly, you haven't paid for it. It's not ethical. But these guys who are utilitarians, they will say that we should take an action that is of utmost benefit to you. And when you do that, you are acting ethically. They are selfish. In my best interest, so I'll do it. They tell you, you swear an oath to do your best and utmost best to protect and preserve the sanctity of life. That's what we are doing. Utilitarian principle. So that when you do everything untoward, which is not in line with your oath, they will see that you have acted what? Unethically, and they will fire you. Right? The opposite of this is you take the risk, but you take the action with the minimum what? Risk. They call it risk aversion. Risk aversion. And then the last one, interesting principle, the no free lunch rule. No free lunch rule. We cannot assume in society that things can just be there without being owned by somebody, and so we can use it. So they can use it the way they like. Society must always assume that everything is owned by someone, and there are consequences in terms of how we use it. There is no free lunch anywhere. So the question is, artists spend time and money creating their music, and you go online and just download it free of charge, and you are enjoying it. the fair compensation, just because it's easy to copy and download, it doesn't mean it is free to use. You have to pay. And when you do that, you are acting what? Unethically. So you are working in the bank. The system, your access to the systems make it easy for you to be able to tell which accounts are dormant and which are active. Right? And because one particular account is fat and has been dormant for years, you feel the person is dead. He has no relatives, no relatives. But if you take, if you are able to use the system to access that money, remember, there's what? No free lunch anywhere. When you do that, you are acting unethically because all resources are assumed to be by people in our society. Another interesting thing that guides our ethical behavior in organizations are codes of what? Professional conduct. Depending on if you are a lawyer, there are codes of professional conduct. If you are an accountant, if you are an administrator, we have codes of professional conduct that guides our ethical behavior in organization, not necessarily in the context of our use of what? Information systems. Almost done. Okay. All right, so let's try and wrap up. So, apart from the ethical, social, and legal as individuals, ethical, social, and there are still health implications. Sometimes can be into political issues or the social issue. Be efficient like the way the administrative manuals to take care of our employees. To take care, yes. Okay.
I don't know how to position this scenario. These wars that are going on internationally, especially that of Israel
And Iran, yes.
an instance where they used to have this watches where
Yes.
for the war, the Israelis were able to check the system and know the ones that were in Iran, not Iran,
Palestine, Lebanon, yes.
The whole system to the extent that the watches or is it the system in there started exploding
Yes.
on them. So during the war, they used those ones that came from their country. You know, there was information. So they used those ones to jam it up and they started exploding.
Yes.
So as we are in the class, if any of us had such
you could trigger it from far and it will explode.
And similarly with that of Iran and the US, when and Israel, when they were targeting their high profile customers to eliminate them, So they started using the systems. And it's like with some of the apps, they are actually linked to the central information with Israel or US. So if they want you as an individual, it's the machine with you that they will track.
Yes.
And so they were able to eliminate some high profile personnel through this system.
Systems.
Those information.
Yeah.
So I don't know in this case, yes, definitely I know they are technical.
Serious ethical issues. And let me add to that. Very excellent example. You know, GPS, positioning system, it's a US military development. Right? The GPS we use is a US military development. And globally, that's what they use for military strikes. Right? US, they have the right to see whatever everyone is doing with their GPS. Yes. So Iran uses it to launch missiles. Israel uses it to launch missiles. So basically what they just did is to give Israel access. Iran is using GPS. So they know exactly where everything is. So pinpoint accuracy. So what they did, basically what happened there was total breach of data protection. But because they are baby, Israel is US baby, they gave it out willingly. What did they do to avoid this ethical issue? They quickly went to the Chinese GPS. Beidou, what's the name? I think it's Beidou. And the US, they have no access to that one. Yeah, so that is why there's this constant debate between the superpowers, especially US, China, and Russia, because of disclosure. I own the system, you use it. If I breach it, no one can come, the big brother, no one can come to me and ask me, right? So with regards to the watches, that was also one, a privacy issue and data protection issue, serious data protection issue. And they didn't even, the way they easily did it, they did it with the manufacturers and the shippers, the manufacturer. I think it was a Taiwanese or a Taiwanese manufacturer, I can't remember. But Israel was able to penetrate. And when the devices were en route or something, they changed everything before they delivered. Not during manufacturing. When they were shipping it, they intercepted it, changed everything. And with GPS, you could possibly monitor and tell, because of your usage, you'll be able to tell if you are wearing it, if it's a wearable device, they'll be able to tell who is wearing this particular device. So they were able to also pinpoint, and they just activate it. So once you are using your walkie-talkie like this one, it explodes. You are dead. Yes. The same thing can happen to you and me. If you download an app and don't know what the app does, find out what does it do. Because these apps are constantly transmitting data to, but sometimes the question people ask is, hey, couple data come and bang. There's an issue we often make from one of our colleagues suddenly realize that he's getting a Starlink signal, and it's moving. And his Starlink is fast. So he's browsing. He has no problem. But he knows that there is a serious ethical issue, right? So the question you're asking that same thing, oh, what is that? So I'm then and do whatever I want to do. But in advanced countries, and on serious activity of trying to pull the Wi-Fi in sensitive areas for people to join. Yes, they can be trying. So this is a very sensitive area. Maybe the president is here and some high-profile people are living here. Yes, someone can just come and park a car with a Wi-Fi signal and maybe find a way to disrupt the network or something. You are busy trying to get access and you see a free Wi-Fi, so you join. Mostly at airports, high-profile, so you join. And when you join, they have access, they can see which devices are connected. And sometimes we don't care about security features. We have a lot of security stuff, so they can have access and do whatever they want to do. So this guy is joining the free Wi-Fi in his home, doing everything. So he comes to my office one day and said, "Hey, that he has got some free Wi-Fi, he's enjoying it." And Buddha asked him, "What is happening? You are enjoying. Do you know what it means? Do you know there's his own message that he doesn't know? And he's using, after he's still using it." Come to that same question and said, "I can't come to another one." It's just my data on papers I'm writing. So what are they going to say? Yes. 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 Yes.
On my phone, I reference like access, then I see the apps of my phone, access. So I only get access to your camera.
Mhm. I said, uh, sent a message to ADC, we are monitoring, we are in trouble. So in panic, what do? And you send the money to them. Yes. Okay, so this brings us to the end of today's session. It's 7 minutes past 10. So take your break and then we'll meet next week. Thank you. It was like 30. Cover.
Okay, lots of complaints about the synaptic.
Okay.
Nishabaya and Chala, maybe Jenny.
Okay. 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 Thank you. Thank you. I will tell them. Thank you. Oh. Okay.
So I'm the Lord, we forgot that.
Uh, it's the right one, the only one who has sent it. Email. Yes, send emails.